Yes.
Just to recapitulate, Mr.
No need.
No need.
We are just only one day away, Mr.
I
Chairman.
don't know, not. I'm not going to take. I only want to make one point.
I have only one submission in this, Malad. I filed an pleading application for the auto rickshaw unions, Malad.
For the
auto rickshaw drivers
Okay,
unions.
okay.
Who want to oppose?
This is this side now.
Yes.
Fortunately, yesterday was more on my side. Now the side, that side, my lord, is getting populated a little more.
Yes.
Yesterday, my lord, I almost stopped at the point where I said
that if the statute is clear and the law has been declared by this court, there can't be a policy contrary to that. And then, Lord, I said that insofar as a rider is or an owner is concerned, he's entitled to register it as a transport vehicle
and get a contract carriage permit, both of which can't be denied unless there is a good enough reason which should be contained in the rules, which are made, my lord, by them. Now, if I satisfy all the requirements that are there in the rules for being granted a contract carriage permit, I should be granted it, unless there's some rule which says I should not be granted it. Now, the case of the state can't be that dehors the rules or dehors the act. I will now make a policy, and that policy will say I will not give permission to anybody to use it as a contract carriage. There, my lord, is where we stop. I want to start, my lord, my submission today, pointing out that the right to utilize my vehicle as a taxi or a transport vehicle is a fundamental right. And therefore, I have a fundamental right under Article 19(1)(g), which is recognized in two judgments. I'll place those judgments first before your lordships. Not Sagir Ahmed and Mithilesh Garg. I'll just pass it on. Lord has the first one, Lord, is a constitution bench judgment on under the old act when they were license Raj, and even then, whether to operate a vehicle as a transport vehicle was a fundamental right was a question. In Sagir Ahmed, give it.
Yes.
Para 12 on the 4th page. Not me. Come to the extract, a few lines before the extract at para 12. Under the Indian Constitution, it starts.
Yes.
My Lord's got Sagir Ahmed. I think my Lord Justice Joshi has Sagir Ahmed. Para 12. 5 lines before the extract.
Yes.
Under the Indian Constitution, the contract carriers as well as the common carriers would occupy the same position so far as the guaranteed right under Article 19(1)(g) is concerned. Both are liable to be controlled by appropriate regulations under Clause 6 of that article. The law on the point as it stands at present has been thus summed by the learned judge. The true position then is that all public streets and roads vest in the state, but the state holds them as trustees on behalf of the public. The members of the public are entitled as beneficiaries to use them as a matter of right, and this right is limited only by the similar rights possessed by every other citizen to use the pathways. The state as trustees on behalf of the public is entitled to impose all such limitations on the character and extent of the user as may be requisite for protecting the rights of the public generally. But subject to such limitations, the right of a citizen to carry on business and transport vehicles on public pathways cannot be denied to him on the ground that the state owns the highways. Well, that argument is not advanced here as yet, because the roads are the state roads. That's the only argument which is not advanced, I must say.
Yes.
Para 13, we are in entire agreement with the statement of law made in these passages. Within the limits imposed by state regulations, any member of the public can ply motor vehicles on a public road to the extent he can carry on the business of transporting passengers with aero vehicles. It is to this carrying on of the trade or business that the guarantee in Article 19(1)(g) is attracted, and the citizen can legitimately complain
if any legislation takes away or curtails that right any more than that is permissible under clause 6 of that article. Now, my lord, all reasonable restrictions are contained in the acts and the rules. And the act and the rules prescribe the entirety of what could be done. We have not challenged any of those, nor are we complaining against any of those. Our entire complaint is you are doing something outside it. If the law therefore permits it and therefore enables me, my lord, to exercise freedom of profession or freedom of business, then it is incumbent on the state to take every step to protect that right. The state cannot turn around and do something which will disable that right, which is exactly what's happening today. And that can't be done. Similar, my lord, after the 1988 Act, in the context of motor vehicles, in Mithilesh Garg, I think the other judgment which has been given to your lordship, para 5, my lord. Para 5, Parliament in its wisdom, I'm sorry, my lord's got. Parliament in its wisdom has completely effaced the above features. The scheme envisaged under 4757 of the old Act has been completely done away with the Act. The right of existing operators to file objections and the provision to impose limit on the number of permits have been taken away. There is no similar provision to that of section 47 and 57 under the Act. Statement of objects and reasons of the Act shows that the purpose of bringing in the Act was to liberalize the grant of permits. Section 71(1) of the Act provides that while considering an application for a stage carriage permit, Regional Transport Authority shall have regard to the objects of the Act. Section 82, which is the harbinger of liberalization, provides that the RTA shall not ordinarily refuse to grant an application for permit of any kind made at any time under the Act, which was a submission I made yesterday. There is no provision under the Act like that of 47(3) of the old Act, and as such, no limit for the grant of permits can be fixed under the Act. There is, however, a provision under 71(3)(a) of the Act, under which a limit can be fixed for the grant of permit in respect to the routes which are within a town having a population of more than 5 lakhs. Then, my lords, may kindly see on 176 near Placetum B.
Yes.
Overcrowded buses, passengers standing in the aisle, persons clinging to bus doors, even sitting on the rooftop are some of the common sights in this country. More often, one finds a bus which has a noisy engine, old upholstery, uncomfortable seats, continuous emission of black smoke from the exhaust pipe. It is therefore necessary that there should be plenty of operators on every route to provide ample choice to the commuter public to board the vehicle of their choice and patronize the operator who is providing the best service. Even otherwise, the liberal policy is likely to help in the elimination of corruption and favoritism in the process of just above in Ram Javaiya Kapoor in the middle. The executive power of a modern state is not capable of any precise definition. In Ram Javaiya Kapoor, a state of Punjab, Mukherjee CJ dealt with the scope of 73 and 162. The learned Chief Justice observed, neither of the two articles contains any definition as to what the executive function is or gives an exhaustive enumeration of the activities which would legitimately come within its scope. It was observed, ordinarily, the executive power connotes the residue of governmental function that remain after legislative and judicial functions are taken away. It is neither necessary nor possible to give an exhaustive enumeration of the kinds and categories of executive function which may comprise both the formulation of the policy as well as execution. In other words, the state in exercise of its executive power is charged with the duty and the responsibility of carrying on the general
Yes, Milords. Just the next page, Lordship will see from Union Territory of Chandigarh also, Milords, the regulations of July 2019.
This is in operation since how when?
Milords, Punjab 2017, yes, and Milords Chandigarh 2019.
It's in operation.
Yes. Milords, we'll see in 2019. Milords, that data I'll come back to your Lordship with. That how many, Milords, these are two examples because this question was posed by your Lordships to Milords Mr. Chinnappa as well as to the state, that whether any other states have these kind of regulations with respect to not aggregators but individuals. Because otherwise, Milords, the Motor Vehicles Act and Lordship have seen the Karnataka motor vehicle rules also permit me to be registered as a contract carriage. Then where is the question of, Milords, state denying me the permission? Milords,
Now we are seeing
Just
It's also the level states where this contract carriage or this bike taxi is permissible.
plus, I think Uber's petition has a list of 18 states.
Is there any stipulation regarding to the fare in the permit?
No, my lords. Because in fact, I was just instructed. Because I was just instructed.
We don't know, we have to examine whether the motorcycling, the transport authority can regulate a fare, so far as that is concerned as part of the permit.
But if the power is there, but if they choose to not regulate, it's a matter of how the market evolves.
That's
But sometimes in the initial stage, usually there is no need to regulate because even the operators would want the computers to take their vehicles. Sometimes when it becomes more popular, then there is a tendency to fleece, etc. Then there could be a. There is under section 67 there are.
Except Bangalore. Please. But of course, in Bangalore also.
Well, I've been given to understand that for bike taxis, it is 8
rupees per kilometer. But I've asked them that who's regulating.
That's the rule.
That is-
But they will fix it based on the consumption of petrol, the cost, the expenses involved, and not
Who will fix it?
in consumer. When we use aggregators, the aggregators will have a standard.
No, not an aggregator, individual taxi, individual bike.
Individual then naturally we go back to a situation where there are no aggregators.
Yes.
It is perhaps the union, sometimes union would fix.
Yes. Lordship would recall the time when there were no Ubers and Olas because the market conditions would prevail. The taxi driver can ask you. Yes, yes. Nobody goes by the meter. That's a common problem. In Delhi also, we have those meters. Because in fact, there is a slightly strange problem that we have faced in Delhi that passengers do not want to go by the meter because they think the meter has been tampered. They say, please give us a fixed price.
If you want to go here and come to Viধাnsabha, he will go to MG Road and then come to Viधाnsabha.
Because fortunately, with Google Maps and all, now those problems are reducing. Yes.
Tomorrow we'll go on Wednesday. We have tomorrow some matter.
Because I'm concluding because I'm concluding right away. Yes, right away in 2 minutes, because I do not wish to take your lordship through whatever Mr. Chinnappa has said. That covers what my case is. Because at the end, I'm only saying that what are bike taxis doing in the system? What are they supposed to do? Contrary to what the state is placing before your lordship, it is to ease the traffic congestion. Everywhere, whenever public transport systems are encouraged, that eases the traffic congestion. People do not, then rely on their own cars and bikes and other vehicles. In fact, I was watching a YouTube video yesterday of a stand-up comedian. In context of Bangalore, he said now in Bangalore, cars have become immovable property because they do not move. So people can give reference of a car when they're guiding somebody. So we do not want that sort of a situation to continue because these e-bikes, as Lordship has seen by the state's own policy, are meant to connect the last miles. And in other cities, there are places where the cars and ambulances can also not go in. The e-bikes are providing those necessary services in those areas which are so remote otherwise that people cannot otherwise fly. They would be forced to walk for distances to catch a bus. So in today's situation scenario, these to my understanding, subject to what the aggregators and the state has to say, this is a necessity. It's not a luxury at all. We are talking about bike taxis. We are not talking about some luxury services here. Plus, in context of interim order, 4 years, it was. Very good.
other matter there.
Monday,
Usually we have kept the other matter. It will not be possible. They say this, they have, they say Mr. Senior counsel has already intervened in the source. For whom you have been considered.
Well, as for Bike Taxi Welfare Association, this is serial number 74, writ appeal 962.
Yes, my lords, in fact, my
Grateful,
impediment is in the first writ appeal, in Mr. Dhyan Chinnapa's writ appeal. Very well. Very well. Yes, I'll do from the side.
Yes, it's the continuity because I'm for the commuter. Exactly. Yes, that was exactly why I wanted to point that.
Well, my one submission, with apologies, my application may be considered end to end.
Yes, no, your application, you have served the other side?
Yes, my lord, I saw.
Everyone?
Yeah, not everyone, my lord. Only Uber I have served.
Right, indeed. Did you reject it?
In no. In the other petition, my lord, in four. But, much your place.
Yes, number 63, my lord. Writ appeal. Yes, fresh matter, my lord. And this is the first day, my lord, because 63. We will give a date now. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, my lord. We'll see.
14/7. 14/7.
14 July. Because if the PDF put the site in public auction, my lord, then we are going to face the risk, my lord. That in there, that's a reason. Serial number 30. Yes.
And for the caveated respondent number
3/7.
my lord,
3/7.
What are you filing?
my lords may make one submission, my lords.
You show us. Read the application, please. 1 minute. We will just only say this. There is your memo. What is the reason? Why do they want to withdraw this? Not to press this memo? Yes. Why? That is the reason. Why? Yes, sir. Settlement should not be in this casual nature. We take it, what is come on record. And that's the reason we checked up also everything. No, it's been right. Just say this.
And
no memo has been filed for withdrawing the writ appeal. The counsel for the petitioner.
appellant.
See, you appear for who?
I am appealing for the appellants.
You also appear.
No, millets.
I'm for respondent caveator 9, my lords.
No, millets. Previous, I am appearing for the appellants.
You appear for,
I'm for the respondent caveator, my lords.
and he has filed a memo for withdrawal. Now he says he doesn't want to press it.
My lords, I'm only appearing for respondent number 9. The other respondents I'm not appearing.
But
Notice has
still
to go, my
notice has
lords.
not been issued. Still, millets, at the stage of office subjections,
No. He states that the matter be adjourned. Now shall we record it? You want to file an application?
yes, it's to recall the order, otherwise, it's,
What is the application for?
it's to recall the morning order minutes.
To recall.
Minutes.
Then we will retain our order. We will retain our order. You will file this application in the registry and get it listed. You're getting the point?
Please, minutes.
We will retain the order. Okay?
We'll file up.
You file this application and mention it tomorrow. We'll get this memo listed.
Please,
How it should be there. Okay?
please, minutes.
Obliged.
Thank you.